Everyone wanted a piece of Jesus. In Mark's gospel, Jesus is quite the rock star. He's moving from one place to another, doing amazing miracles and teaching with absolute authority. Everyone wanted to see and hear and be touched by this man. Everyone wanted a piece of Jesus. In our text for this session, the crowds were flocking to Jesus. I just want you to imagine Justin Bieber waltzing through a local junior high. That's probably what it was like for Jesus walking through this community. Everyone's crowding around, pushing, shoving. 3 words for you: Walmart, Black Friday. And they're doing this just so they can get a piece of Jesus, because when it comes to this man, Jesus, everyone wants something. It seems as though when you're a celebrity, everyone wants something from you. Old or young, rich or poor, everyone wanted something from Jesus. And that's where we're going to pick up in Mark chapter 5, verses 24 to 27. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She'd suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. And when she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about the physical condition of this woman. Let me just say a couple things. First, her medical condition made it so that she was constantly having her period. Now, of course, I have no idea what this would be like, and I'm not trying to be crass or disrespectful, but I have heard that once a month is bad enough. Some ladies may get kind of used to it, but I've never heard of someone actually looking forward to it. So imagine the suffering of this woman who had had a period that lasted for 12 years. She has exhausted all of her resources to pay doctors for the cure. And from what we know from historical records of the way doctors would treat this, let me just say, it wasn't pleasant. It was painful and incredibly embarrassing. And she's dealt with this for 12 long years. The other thing that would have been very hard for her was that she would have been ostracized from the community. According to the Old Testament standards, she was declared unclean and not able to participate in community events, worship services, or even family gatherings. She was completely alone. So I want you to imagine living like this for 12 years. Imagine living in that kind of silent desperation. I'm sure she tried to blink it away in the first light of every morning, and that came after hiding her midnight cries. Yes, the woman with an issue of blood wanted physical healing, that's true, but I think she needed more than just that. What she needed most was what would come after the healing. Here's what I hope we can gain from this passage. While we are often content to settle for a piece of Jesus and move on, in his compassion, he pursues the whole of who we are so he can restore us. In this passage and so many others, you see that Christ is motivated by compassion. The question he asked, "Who touched me?" was not voiced in anger, but kindness, gentleness, compassion. The Greek word for compassion is splankna. Say that out loud with me. Splankna. This has to be one of the most fun Greek words I've ever said in my life. The splankna are the internal organs of a person, such as the heart, liver, lungs, intestines. These inner parts were regarded by the ancient Greeks as the site of emotion. So when you use the Greek word splankna as a noun, you're talking about your own guts. When you use it as a verb, as in showing compassion for someone, it literally was understood as showing someone your guts. It means that you care so much for the other person that you would reveal the innermost part of who you are for them. Maybe you have a mental picture of God as the cosmic killjoy who just loves kicking you when you're already down. Maybe you feel that God is out to get you. I want you to know that it is in the nature of our Lord to show compassion to you. In fact, about 1,500 years before Christ was born, God revealed himself to Moses with these words in Exodus 34:6. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. You see, when his compassion does come to us, it may not look exactly like what we wanted. It will, however, be exactly what we need. This is what we see in our text. Christ's compassion is actually bigger and better than what you can desire. It reveals that he is pursuing us so he can restore us. Pick up at verse 30 of Mark 5. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." You see, she tried to steal a miracle and run away with the plunder of her healing, but Jesus wouldn't let her. Is that because he wants the credit? No. He's got something bigger in store for her than just a physical healing. And now that this whole thing is public, with every eye of the pressing crowd looking at her, she bows at Jesus' feet in fear, thinking he will yell at her for causing him to be unclean. She can already hear the words, "How dare you touch me, you filthy sinner." Maybe you feel that that's what God is saying to you, but I can tell you that if you truly come to him in faith, no amount of sin, rebellion, or moral filth is going to turn away the compassionate look of Jesus' face toward you. In fact, we see from this text that Jesus not only gives compassion to the person who comes in faith, he gives a lot more. The woman was, of course, embarrassed, but what she got was what Jesus knew she really needed: restoration. Think about it. If she were able to steal away with a healing, she probably would never truly be able to belong to her people because of her reputation for 12 long years. Everyone would look at her and see her past. But Jesus specializes in the business of taking someone's past and changing them so it stays in the past forever. He is going to restore her and her relationships with her people. That's why he calls her daughter. He is basically saying, "You're family now. You belong here. You belong with your people, and most of all, you belong to me." If you've ever been tempted to view God as a miracle vending machine, only seeking a piece of Jesus from your desperation, I want you to know God has something better in mind. He desires to pursue you so he can restore you. It may be hard, it may be scary, or even a little embarrassing, but I promise it's because he loves you. He has a greater compassion for you than you can realize. You know, sometimes Jesus asks us the hard questions. The questions seem like a test, but it's not so that we either pass or fail, but so that he can draw you out, to draw out the true you. He wants the whole of who we are so he can restore everything. And if you feel Jesus pursuing you with tough questions that call out honest answers, rest assured, he is seeking you in compassion, desiring to do a good work, not just hand out a miracle. So I have a question for you. Will you stop your hiding and come before him with humility, acknowledging that you need him to heal you? I don't know what needs to be healed. Maybe it is a physical illness, but I would imagine that what really needs to be healed is a heart issue. Will you allow Jesus to reveal his compassion, to call you out, so he can restore you?